This is a review of your lesson from October 21st, yes, from Wednesday. And we'll get right into it. We focused a lot today on really refining your technique and specifically being, I guess you would say, mindful while you're playing. For example, if you can just get one good scale, right, being fully present, getting all of the transitions like from high A down to high G perfectly the first time, that's what you're trying for. Also, another area to watch out for is from C to B, making sure that when you're on the C and the pinky's down, you bring it up and bring the B finger down so that you don't get an unintended this. Things like that. Just having an awareness. So we'll get right to it. Here's the scale. We'll do it at I'm going to pick a tempo that I think is a good one, and I do want you to experiment with pushing yourself just a touch on the tempo this week, with remembering that you still need to have that awareness that we talked about. So scale from the bottom up and back down, starting on low G. Ready? 1, 2. So any areas in there that were difficult for you to stay on that tempo that I was playing, pause the video, go back, address them, try it again. The next thing we did was similar thing, same thing really, with the G grace note scale. And I picked a tempo of 63 beats per minute. Basically, what we're talking about with this G grace note scale is being aware that the G grace note finger, your left pointer finger, it's in command. It is the finger that when it moves, the listener hears a high G when it moves off the hole. And so that will help you eliminate unwanted sounds like crossing sounds or early grace note sounds that we don't want. An example of that sound that we don't want is if I'm going from low A to B with a G grace note, and if I accidentally forget to lift the B finger in time, I'll drop the G grace note finger down, I might make a G grace note on low A and then go to B. Don't want that. Here's what we don't want. We don't want that. We want... And the way you make sure that happens is you lift the G finger, grace note finger, plus the destination note finger at the same time, and then drop the G finger. Okay, so that's what we're talking about when I say the G grace note finger is in control. It leads. Here we go. 63 beats per minute. Ready? 1, 2. Now, if that was difficult to keep up with, that's okay. Go ahead and do it on your own, or you can slow down the tempo of this recording with YouTube's little 3 dots at the top right and go adjust the playback speed. Okay, the next thing we worked on was the Gde Triplet. And the whole point of this exercise for this week was to emphasize this concept of the G grace note being the leader. It's always on the beat for this exercise. And so when you lift the G grace note finger and drop it down, your foot also comes down and taps at the same time. Now, you're not going to see my foot in this exercise. You need to do it on your own. But we'll play some together here. Mainly, you're going to do this one on your own. Ready? 1, 2. One of the other things that we talked about this week was that the lifting of these grace notes should be quick. Lifting and dropping should be quite quick. We don't want this long, drawn-out grace note anymore. We want a chip, 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 like you just heard. All right, the next thing we went over was the D throw. And in this one, it's just having a mindfulness, taking your time, which we say that all the time, but what I really mean here is remember that this is a scale. So you're playing a melody note before the D throw. Here it is on page 75 of the Green Book. You're playing a melody note before the throw, right? And then you play the throw and you land on D, and then you go to the next melody note. And what we want to make sure is that we are giving enough time to the melody notes in between the D throws themselves. Now I see here that the D at the end of the throw is shown as a quarter note, and the melody note is shown to be an eighth note, which implies we should be playing this melody note a bit shorter. I would say that for now, I would like you to spend a little bit more time on the melody note. So let's try it together. D throw scale, starting on low A. 1, 2. And one thing you might have noticed there, the first D throw I played was not the meaty kind of D throw that I taught you. I played a lighter throw. Don't worry about that. You're going to be playing the one that I taught you, which is... Okay? Another thing you might have noticed is I played the throw itself quite quickly. When you're first learning it, you do it slowly like this. Okay? And that's okay. But as you get better at this, I want you to speed it up. If you are not comfortable playing the actual throw that quickly right now, I would say just pause the video, play it on your own, and be mindful of the fact that you want to hold those melody notes in between the D throws just a bit longer. The next thing we went over was the high A doubling, or double high A. And in this one, I gave you a vocalization to kind of think or sing in your head, or you could sing it if you were to sing this doubling scale of chili, like that, chili, right? And that comes from the vocalization of what we're doing in the actual high A doubling itself. We're holding the last note of the word chili, the E sound, at the end, because we're holding the high A at the end of the doubling. So it sounds like this. I kind of messed up that second one, didn't I? But the idea is to hold the high A at the end. So let's do a high A doubling scale together. No particular tempo. We'll choose this one for now. We'll start on low G, as opposed to the scale in the book that on page 76 that shows low A. Aha, and remember, you must be looking at the music when you do these, because I want you to know how to read the music. Okay, don't forget that this week. Here we go. Double high A scale. Okay, if that's too fast, pause the video, play it on your own with that same idea, same feel, but whatever tempo works for you. The last thing we looked at was kind of a teaser, you might call it. We looked at the Glasgow Police Piper's Jig. Gave you the sheet music for this, and we looked at the first couple, I believe the first measure here of music. And the reason we're introducing this tune so soon is because it has things that you know how to do already, and it's a lot of fun. You can see here it has a Gde triplet on low A, a G grace note to C, a high A, back to C. And then the next bar has a Gde triplet on B, right? With a G grace note to C up to two high A's separated by a thumb grace note. I talked to you a little bit about how this right here is very similar to a high A doubling, okay? Not as fast. It's more even, but it's the same movement. So what I would like to do right now is I'm going to just play the first 2 bars, okay, of Glasgow Police Piper's Jig, just so you can hear it. And this is probably something you should just do on your own. Listen to the recording, then look at the music and try it yourself. Glasgow Police Pipers, first 2 measures only. 1, 2. Okay, the breakdown of that is Gde triplet. And then you go from that low A at the end of the triplet, G grace note to C, so it's... Okay, and then from this C at the end of bar 1, you stay on that C, and then you do a Gde triplet to B. So... And then there I am on this B, and we're going to do a G grace note up to C. And play the high A's. The point of this, introducing this to you right now, is to show you how we need to connect the phrases, right? When you finish a triplet, like the first one, on low A, right? And if you must take a breath between that and the next phrase, that's fine, but be on the low A, the note you left off on, to connect to the next phrase, right? Like this. I take a breath, go back to the low A. Like that. Because, of course, in piping, we can't take breaths. We're constantly making the sound on the chanter. So we need to get in the habit of connecting all of these phrases, regardless of what's happening with our breathing. Have fun.